guys, this is Doctorbass, and today I would like to show you some update on the modification that I'm doing on my SUR. So let's begin with the phase wires of the SUR motor. These are the original phase wires you can see here, and this is the upgrade that I'm doing. So this is a 6 gauge and this is a through quality industrial 4 gauge. The reason for that is that the SUR motor is about 10 milliohm resistance on the winding for the phases, and by just replacing those wires, I've cut this resistance, which is translate today some heat losses in the motor, by about 5%, which is still 5% less heat, and this is great in fact. So and also the motor will respond better with the controller because there's easiness for calculation of the phase current and these things. So you can see here, these are the phase upgrade on the motor here, and they fit very well into these kind of stainless steel socket here. And I want to show you something very interesting. This is the original SUR motor, and these are in fact made for the 5 kilowatt that the motor is receiving from the original controller. However, when you switch to the back 8000 this way, like this one, you need something stronger, if I can say, and I will just show you the comparison between the two. So this is important to consider the surface area here relative to this one, because you have enough surface area on the motor controller. I will just remove the screw so you can see here. Yeah, so when I install this one, you see I'm not covering completely the terminal on the controller, but if I use this one, I cover it fully, and that's important. This is less heat again. Alright, so this controller is programmed by Technies, so there's no display, nothing from now, but I have the ERT NXT display and also the egg rider option. Okay, I will try all three options, but this is important that when you use the egg rider, you can connect it directly to the light speed harness with the original connector. However, when you want to use the same harness, because you can, with the ERT display, the difference between this harness from Lightspeed and the harness from ERT is the connections. So in fact, the ERT is using the 5 volt from the controller. But the problem is that the controller is specified for a lower current supply than what this display is taking. So I don't like that because it's overloading the 5 volt supply from the controller. So my decision was to use a DC-DC converter, and you can see this is not a DC-DC converter, but I use it as a DC-DC converter. I use this 5 volt USB charger. And what's interesting in these is that you can put DC current here, and you will have the 5 volt DC here, and you have a very wide range of DC here. You can put 20 volts up to 300 volt DC or AC, and it will work. Well, maybe not 300 volt AC, but close to. So this is a wide range DC-DC converter that I will use to supply the 5 volt for this display without overloading the motor controller. So next thing I want to show you is the bracket, because the original bracket from Technies, I don't like it because it's made of zinc plated steel, and you know, aluminum with stainless bolt and zinc surface is the perfect recipe for galvanic corrosion. And it's bad because you will have rust very soon on your parts that you're using for the motor controller mount. So I decided to make my own. So these are aluminum bent that I use from an older aluminum sheet that I had. I just bent it, drilled some hole, and the controller will be secured right here. What I like is that on the original motor, I just extended the phase wires. And since I'm not using the extension, you know, because the original surround motor, like you can see right here, a beautiful motor, zero motor and surround motor. You can compare both if you want. So when you use the back 8000 or 4000, you need extension wires, and I don't like the added resistance and you know, point of failure that it can produce. So I decided to open the motor, install new phase wires without any interface connections, and direct connection to the motor controller. So that will be perfect. And I will use the Lightspeed 40 amp hour battery here with the 2 connector. However, I will not use the stock connector here because I don't like these. Some will come loose, and it's not, you know, there's a 400 amp BMS inside, and I think that even 100 amp on this connector is way too much. So what I will use here is, if I just can get these where they are. Wait a minute, guys. Okay, I think I will post a picture of these. Those are like the beefy version of these connectors, like as wide as this, and you know, they can be soldered to 4-gauge wires. And in fact, also something important, I decided to upgrade the circuit breaker for a 250 amp breaker instead of the 100 amp original. Very important because you know, there's a lot of resistance. If you have the 6-gauge, this breaker, the wires extension, those are not optimized for the full performance of the back 8000. So with this one and all the addition that I'm making, I hope it will give you the best performance, and I will review that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you appreciate it, and please subscribe in this button, and see you next time.